Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do something a bit different compared to what normally happens on this channel. This is a comparison, so I would like to compare the sound coming from my Casio GP510 hybrid piano, and I would like to compare that to a soft piano sound, so to the Giant, which is a native instrument slash contact sound, and which is obviously a software piano sound. So I'm particularly interested in making this comparison because obviously when I play my piano just for practicing, when I play the Casio GP510 just for practicing, I enjoy the sound that comes out of the speakers. Now, is it the best ever piano sound? No, it's not. I don't think it is. In some instances it doesn't make me fly above the clouds, just to use an expression. I love the touch. The touch, I think that in terms of value for money, the touch of this piano is really, really great. The sound is not, it is great for practicing, and it is also great for giving you the illusion of playing a real piano, enough to possibly write a song, enough to put you in that mood from where compositions and creations can start. So good enough for that. But I guess this comparison has more to do with the way that this piano sound works when we record it. And so so let's try and see what happens. So right now I have in my ears the sound as it comes out of this piano, left and right, into my Apogee Mac Duet, which is my sound card. So into my sound card, and it's recording. So I'm going to be giving you my impressions as I play it, with regards to the response of the sound to the touch. And then afterwards, I'm also going to record just a MIDI part, and I'm going to export that MIDI part with both sounds, the sound from the Casio and from the Giant. And I'll talk you some more about that. But yeah, I'm gonna start playing and see what happens. So this is the Berlin Grand, piano number 1. So what do I feel? I feel quite a spiky contrast, as a very spiky response. So as soon as I hit hard, as if it didn't have quite an amazing dynamic range. For dynamic range, of course, I mean, the ratio, the distance between the very soft and the very loud and the very hard. Obviously, as you hit harder, it does get louder. But there is a feeling of woodeny. It's a bit woodeny, whatever that means. As in, it's a little bit hard, a little bit harsh. It's not extremely soft. That is my impression. Obviously, your impression might be completely different. Somebody else's impression might be completely different, but this is what I'm experiencing right now. Now, am I enjoying it though? I am enjoying it. Would I be able to write a song, moved by this sound? Yes, I could, absolutely. Yeah, but I still have this feeling of like harshness, you know, as if I had to record like a ballad, something really warm, mellow, moody. Maybe I would struggle a bit. When I use the term contrast, my feeling is that it sparks quite suddenly and quite soon. You know, like it's forte straight away. It's loud straight away. Doesn't have a lot of layers in between. If that makes sense. So anyway, so that's my impression. Let's try my impression with the Hamburg Grand. Again, I'm liking it. Am I liking it enough? Yes, I am. You know, and I would be perfectly able of using it for, well, I do use it for practicing all the time using the speakers, but in a recording so far I have never used any of the sounds from inside the Casio for recording. And of course I could, and you know, they would probably work well, and we're going to try that later. Anyway, it's nice enough. And the last one is the Vienna Grand. Again, this one, I've got straight away even more the feeling that I would have to struggle to bring out the colors. So yeah, not an amazing dynamic range, as in, you know, it goes from quite loud quite quickly, and it becomes spiky quite quickly. Again, this is an impression. It's by no means an objective language. It's by no means a scientific proof or anything like that. Okay, so let's see what the Giant does. Yeah. So now instead I'm using the Giant soft piano sound from Native Instrument. Let's see what happens here. And now earlier with the Casio sound was coming out without any effects, so without reverb, and I'm doing the same thing with the Giant as well. So there are no effects on. Okay, straight away I can perceive a lot more detail in the sound, like all the nuances from a grand piano are there to a much greater extent. You know, that's at least, again, this is my impression, my first impression. And there's a lot more breath. There's more air. There's more space, more dynamic range. You know, as you hit harder, the sound is not just louder in volume. It changes as you would in a real piano. It enlarges. It gets, you know, it inhabits the air more fully. Like it fills the air more fully. It's not simply louder. And also, you know, in the high frequencies there, in the high registers, yeah, all the nuances of grand piano are there to a much greater extent. It sounds a lot more like a real piano. You know, it moves more, it moves the air more, and it is certain, you know, it certainly feels much more inspiring. You know, I could create a song, you know, I guess, enjoy more. That's the word, you know, I enjoy more when I play it. Now, again, we're talking about recording a piano sound. So I'm hearing the sound playing and I'm hearing the sound through Logic. So the sound from the Casio gets recorded through Logic. Of course, the soft piano is already in Logic. So, and that's what I'm hearing and that's what I'm playing. So the behavior of the piano sound within a recording context. Of course, when I probably said it already, but when I practice, the sound from the Casio is great, you know, it's good enough because, you know, it comes out of the speakers and the speakers are already here. So it moves the air to a much greater extent than it does when it gets recorded into the software. But, so yeah, so that's what, you know, that's my take, I guess. Great for practicing and for playing, but for recording, I certainly prefer the Giant, which is probably not a conclusion, you know, that is unexpected in any way. Probably, you know, that's what a lot of other people, a lot of other pianists would have concluded after such a test. But I still wanted to conduct this test to see, you know, just to see how much, you know, that rings true. But now I would like to do a final test, and the final test is just recording a MIDI part into the software, and then I'm going to listen without playing, because obviously when one plays, one is, you know, carried by the inspiration somehow. So whereas now I want to have, like, you know, the listener's ears. So just concentrate on listening and see, you know, what it sounds like. Oh, by the way, I should specify, the Giant has got plenty of piano sounds. I'm using the one that I simply like the most, which is called Basic Giant. It's one of the first, I don't know, maybe the third or fourth in the scroll down menu that page that you find in the software. So, what are my impressions after listening to that track? Well, first of all, you can tell straight away that there are two very different piano sounds. And on one side, the Giant to me sounds very warm, or much warmer than the Casio. Even when I listen to it, together with the double bass and with the hi-hat from the drums, I just added those two other instruments just to give it a little bit more context, to try and hear what it sounds like within a recording. I mean, I could actually have used any of the many recordings that I've done using the Giant. To me it sounds in a way more organic, like it sounds like it mixes, it mixes much better with the other instruments, and in a way, it makes you feel like you're in the same room with the piano, if that makes sense. Whereas the Casio one, to me, sounds more like a recording of a piano. I don't know if that makes sense, but it sounds a bit more like a piano sample that you would have heard in the 90s or in the 2000s, like a sample. You can definitely tell that it's a sample. This is to my ears as well, and as you know by now, I'm not a scientific guy. So, but yeah, to me, I every time that I need to record a piano, that I need, that I need to use a piano in a recording, especially in the context together with other instruments, I always find myself going to the Giant, just because to me it just sounds a bit warmer, more inspiring. The Casio, as I said, for me at least, it's great for practicing. It's great when it comes out of the speakers. It's great at creating that illusion of being in the same room, actually in very near proximity with an actual piano, with a real piano, especially coupled with the great action that those keys have. And we have already talked about that in previous videos. But when it comes to recording, for me, it's the Giant. So just a short video to let you know my thoughts about this comparison, and why I always resort to using the Giant for the recordings. But more than anything, I am actually interested in hearing from you what you think. So especially hearing that MIDI part, which I have basically presented to you, blending together the two sounds within the same kind of mini track. Listening to that one in particular, what do you feel? How do you feel about it? Do you agree with me? Do you think that I'm completely wrong? Because I might be, although these matters, as we all know, are so subjective and personal. So obviously what appears quite obvious to me might be totally wrong to you, and that's okay, that's fine, because we are obviously all different. But I'm really interested in hearing what other people, in particular other musicians, think about it. And please let me know in the comments, and I'm sure I'll find you in the next video. Bye bye.